Oh, well, a lovely day. So, hospital have taken me bloods. Boy, do they take them. And then they're checking just about everything, so it won't surprise me if they don't find an assortment of things wrong. I feel fine, but sometimes I get the feeling they're digging for problems. It's like they're on commission or something. Anyway, I thought I'd come out. Oh, bloody Nora. I've got the sodding path then. I turned around to look behind me. I thought I could hear someone sneaking up on a bike. And I just nearly ended up in the... going off the path. It's a good job it's not night time with a full moon. You know, I never understood that in American Werewolf in London. If you've ever seen it, when they're in Yorkshire where they get attacked initially, when they're in the pub, as they're leaving, they hilariously tell them, stay on the path. And do they say, well, look, watch out for the moon or stay out of the moon? How the hell do you stay out of the moon? I'm sure they say that, or do they say, watch out for the moon? Well, what are you going to do? They know it's a full moon, so why would staying on the path have made any difference? Because when the werewolf is in London, it's not like he's got some kind of aversion to concrete or stone or whatever. So they stay off the moors. Well, stay on the path. Well, it didn't make any difference. It wouldn't have made any difference. Bloody werewolf's not there going like, I'd love to kill you, but you're on a path. I suppose it was like sort of local folklore that wouldn't have made any difference. But it was interesting in that scene when, after the werewolf attacks and kills one of them and injures the other, he obviously then becomes the werewolf. The people from the pub were obviously following them, and they blow away the werewolf. They kill the guy who's a werewolf. You see the shot. After they shoot the guy, he turns back into a person and dies. Why did they wait for the bloody thing to attack? Why didn't they kill it before? I think they were using those guys as bait. I think they were using the tourists as bait to lure it out so they could kill it. But then they knew that the other guy had been injured, so you think they'd have killed him and all. They seem to know quite a bit about the law. Anyway, that's my weird thought for the day. Yeah. What the hell were they thinking? It's a good film though. Really good film. The right amount of comedy and a decent amount of horror. But I enjoy that film. Anyhow, I've no idea what I'm going to talk about today, but we'll figure it. We'll wing it as usual. We always do. We'll get it sorted. pulling my pants up. One good thing is I'm maintaining a consistent weight now. I've got my exercise and dietary side of things are absolutely bob on. My weight is like, just fluctuates by like 0.1, 0.2 kilos. It's been like that now for the last 3 months. So I'm quite happy about that part, if nothing else. But anyway, here we are. We didn't venture off the path and we didn't get werewolfed. Well, because there's no full moon yet. So, see you in the park. Alright. Yeah, thoroughly miserable day today, without doubt. It certainly is. So, what am I thinking topic-wise? I don't know. I think just looking at the going back through some of the videos that I've done, you know, some of the things I've talked about on those videos, and I've covered quite a bit, quite a lot of topics. Been very enjoyable making this content, without doubt, and it's helped with me doing these walks. Give me something to focus on, you know, rather than just putting one foot in front of the other. So yeah, I've been enjoying it, and hopefully I can continue to keep coming up with stuff, keep coming up with topics to talk about. It does get hard though. I think when you get so many videos into doing something, you start to forget about things you've talked about. So if there is any repetition, you'll just have to bear with me. Whether it doesn't, you know, at the moment there is, let's go this way. There really isn't an awful lot to discuss gaming wise, and I've said before, given the time of year, it's a little bit surprising really. It never used to be like this. And I think increasingly, as AAA gaming becomes more and more difficult to, you know, to discuss, I feel increasingly the pull towards donating more time talking about indie games that I've been playing. I think when I've done my Doom playthrough, my giant Doom playthrough on the channel, we're getting towards the latter stages of the Doom 3 playthrough. I've already started to record footage of Doom 2016. But I think I'm going to do a bit of a change of track once I've done Doom the Dark Ages. I think what I'm going to do is start to focus more on indie games, because I think that's where what I'm going to end up playing more of, to be perfectly honest with you. And I think they deserve more of the attention. This is kind of a pseudo follow-up really to the video I did yesterday, where I was talking about giving indie games a chance. Now, I suspect this might see a dip in my viewership. I don't get a great deal anyway, but I do suspect there might be a dip. I'm hoping that it might pick up a bit, not because of anything to do with me going down the path of monetization, because it would need a humongous increase, and I'm not going to get that. Not with what my channel discusses, not with the fact that, you know, I haven't created an online persona or a character. This is just me. And I know that my style is not to everyone's taste. It's certainly not algorithm friendly. That's for certain. There's no two ways about that. I'm not kidding myself. You know, I'm over 50 years of age. You know, and I'm not sat there in front of either a games collection or a green screen with an artificially created games collection behind me. And that's not a slam on anyone. That's just what it is. I've no problem with people trying to find ways to present their content in whichever way they see fit. Not everyone has a games room. Not everyone has a huge games collection or a physical games collection that they can display behind them. That doesn't invalidate their opinion one way or the other. You know, that's not what I'm doing here. My objective is, God damn it, my objective is very, very simple. And that's just to talk about games while I'm doing these walks. I'm not sat there with a script. I'm going to get things wrong because I'm going to misremember things. You know, if people catch that, let me know. I'll pop it in a video, and the next video is a correction. But yeah, I'm not walking around with Google open on my phone here. I mean, I've got a camera, a DJI Osmo camera in one hand at the moment, and a bloody big old golf umbrella in the other, while doing this walk in the rain. You know, I'd have to be Doc Ock to have AI controlled mechanical arms to be surfing the net. But that's not my style. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not an online. I'm not a video representation of Wikipedia or a Google search. You know, I'm just a middle-aged guy reminiscing as best he can about growing up playing games, and giving my opinion. That's it. I think if I had tried to make this channel a monetized channel, I would have had to have gone about things entirely differently, and I don't think that I would have the skill, the knowledge, and more importantly, the personality to do that. So, you know, what I present here is just me, for better or for worse. And that's what I've accepted. And I was always of the philosophy that if by some miracle that proved to be successful, then so be it. But I wasn't going to start being somebody that I wasn't. I wasn't going to start with BS. I wasn't going to start trying to drum up drama for clicks, talking about subjects or covering things that I know would probably bring people in just for clicks, if I didn't truly believe that. Now, there was certainly a pathway open to me for just getting more views than I do. You know, getting my views into the hundreds. And that was, you know, to talk about stuff and just post continuously negative videos attacking whatever the current TV show or movie or game was, endlessly, getting personal or what have you. Because when I did my analysis or my comments about Alien Earth, that video went, for my channel, I went from getting like 10, 20, 30, if I'm lucky, 40 views on a video. And then within a matter of days, it was at 400. So it was very clear to me what greases the wheel is having an opinion on current things that's a hot button issue. It just so happens that I watched Alien Earth, and it just so happens that's what I thought of the show when I watched it and shared that opinion. There's a lot of other shows that people talk about that I haven't watched that could easily get me negativity. I could just sit and watch a few episodes of a show, or watch somebody else's YouTube video, get a generalised synopsis and just regurgitate somebody else's work and do that for views. And again, I'm not judging, I'm just saying that wouldn't sit well with me, because that's not what I do, and that's not what my channel is. And as tiny as my channel is, it's genuine. It's who I am. When I tell you about playing games as a kid, that's what I remember. There could be inaccuracies, inconsistencies, you know, not remembering things correctly, because it's coming from memory, and it's coming from my own personal experience. It's not coming from watching somebody else do it and then taking shorthand notes and making sure that I put them in. Now, sometimes I will go away and I'll fact check myself. Like for example, the game Phobia. I wasn't sure if that was the name of the game that was the one I said that I remember back in the day. It used the expanded colour palette on the C64. That was a thing, I was right about that. I just didn't phrase it correctly. I don't actually know if it was a glitch, a bug, an exploit in the hardware, or whether it was something that was always known it could do, but it just took a while for programmers to figure out how to make it work in a game. Because the C64 had, and still has, a demo scene. And when you look at the graphics in the demos, I don't mean demos of games, I mean just art being displayed on the screen with music playing. When you see that, it's absolutely incredible, the capabilities of that computer. But the point I'm making is all that was from memory, and I didn't do too bad. I remembered the name of the game. I think that was the thing for me. And there was the C64 did have an expanded colour palette. Whether it was a mode, whether it was an exploit, I don't know. I couldn't find too much information in the brief time that I looked, because it wasn't really important to what I was talking about. The context of that video, I was talking about how good game development was back then, and how people were constantly pushing the boundaries of the technology, often way beyond its perceived capabilities, and how that doesn't seem to be the case these days, because everything is pretty uniform. And I guess doing that type of stuff can take time. There's a degree of experimentation that can go with it. And with that, I think, that increases the amount of development time, and that can blow up in your face. I've spoke before about feature creep, or creature feep, as I called it, and how that inflates the cost of developing games. And with the sausage factory that is the AAA game studios these days, you're not going to get that. Back in the day, with the C64, the Spectrum, the Amstrad, all of the others, you were going to get that. So, for me, it was important to put that out there, and I wanted to clarify that in the video. And again, I'm not judging the content that other people make. That's not for me to do. I'm merely putting out there how I make my content and why it's done the way that it is. At some point, there'll be less content on this channel. Things change. If you look back at my older videos, you'll see that they got quite a lot of views, but there was fewer channels on YouTube back in the day when I was doing that. There were fewer people doing those kind of videos. The monetization on YouTube back then was, I don't even think it was a thing. Was it even a thing back in 2010? I don't know. And if it was difficult. So, but that was around that time my health was starting to fall off a cliff. My health was really starting to suffer and I was fighting it. In some of those videos you can hear it in my voice, it's not very good. I was in a considerable amount of pain. I was very tired. I was ill. There were times where just climbing the stairs at home was meaning that I was having to lie down. It took all effort just to play a game, let alone set up recording it and then talking about it. And the thing is, I don't think it would have made any difference. I think even if I hadn't been ill, I think things would have died off. I think my views would have just dropped off as other people come in with their way of doing things, with their presentation, with them creating an online persona. So I'm not sad about that, because I think I'd have been at this point anyway. Down the years, my channel has never ever fully gone away. It's always been there in some form or another, and I might have gone a year, sometimes maybe 18 months, maybe a little bit longer without uploading content, but then I've always been mindful of that and thrown something up there. I've always tried. But things change. Algorithms change. There's been people who were a lot bigger YouTubers than myself at that time that have gone away. That their channels declined and they called it a day. A lot bigger channels. So the world changes and moves on, and if my channel had grown after 15 years of doing this, I think that would have been a unique and unlikely scenario, even if I hadn't stepped away because of illness. The brief summary of that is, I don't blame being ill for the fact that I only get a fraction of the views that I used to. It was going to happen anyway. Content creators on YouTube and beyond that rely on this as a source of their income, I think they're always going to struggle to maintain. It must be awful for them every time YouTube changes something in the background. Every time some country comes out with a new law, like here in the UK. You know, how much that's affected people's ability to earn money that rely on modern day, should we say, digital content creation, videos, so on and so forth. It must be very, very stressful. And I think some of them do compromise to fit that algorithm. To preserve their ability to make money. That is just something I couldn't do. And I say that's not me looking down on anybody. It really isn't, because You know, I've never been in that position where YouTube has been a source of revenue for me. I think as we move forward in this world, there's so many traditional ways of earning money are disappearing. When I was a kid, or when I was a young man in my late teens, getting a job in a shop was as easy as just walking out your front door and going to the town centre. There was always job opportunities. That's going away. The high street's dying. It's in free fall. You know, it had a bit of a blow in the early 2000s with the whole dot-com revolution. But now, it's in free fall. I mean, the dot-com bubble burst, but that didn't save the high street. It just filtered out all of the other businesses that came along during that period. It just filtered them out. And you were left with the bigger ones and the ones that had substantial investment. That's the nature of things. It's happened with video games, you know, numerous times. It happened with computers in the 1980s. I've covered that. At one point, there were that many home computers out there. Everybody vying, jostling for that position of being at the top of the tree, being in the upper echelon, being the go-to. And like I say, here in the UK, eventually, by the time you get in towards the late 80s, in the UK, you're filtering it down to Commodore, Spectrum and Amstrad. Not in that order, it would have been Spectrum, Commodore and Amstrad. Others, like BBC, for example, with the BBC Micro, which I think it was Acorn Computers. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was Acorn Computers that was the company behind that. Their primary focus was getting their computers into schools for educational purposes. You didn't really see too many of them as a home computer. When you walked into high street stores back then, your WH Smiths, John Menzies, hell, even places like Boots, which was a pharmacy. Wherever you went, Commodore, Spectrum, Amstrad, those games would be there, but it became more rare to find any games for any of the computer systems outside of that. And for people playing these things at home, that was what mattered. The games are what sold those systems. And there was plenty of games for the big three, as we called them. With the 16-bit, again, you had the ST and you had the Amiga. But what I'm saying, it's the same with everything. Look at your software publishers. There's far fewer mainstream publishers now than there was 15 years ago. Companies get bought out. Guys that are running these companies, like take Ocean for example, they're a great case in point here in the UK. They were huge in the UK. They were probably huge outside of the UK as well, but I don't know. The point is, is that those guys running that company, when they got a really big offer or a substantial offer, that's probably what they work for. Build the company up, speculate a bit, wait for it to reach a peak of value, someone coming to buy it at that point, you sell it and you get the hell out. Jobs are good, and actually that's why they do it. I genuinely don't think that the guys who were running Ocean Software back in the day were doing it for any noble reason. They were doing it to make money, and they did that. It's the same with everything, and it'll be it was the same with the .com boom, and it will be the same with the digital age of creating videos and such like on YouTube, live streaming on Twitch. Eventually it'll filter. The lesser popular ones will move to the side, and the more popular, they'll continue until the point where somebody comes along and either wants to take over, or I don't know how it would work with that kind of thing, but yeah, it'd be something they'd want to do. But yeah, like I say, it's just how it works. Movie studios, we're seeing it now. One big movie studio goes to take over another. Look at Disney acquiring Fox. Look how many studios down the years they've acquired. Plenty. Look at, video game publishers. This happens all the time. Microsoft buying up ZeniMax. Didn't ZeniMax buy up Bethesda at one point? Activision bought these companies. The bigger fish comes along and swallows the smaller one. It's the nature. Anyway, I'll say, it was just a topic really. I just wanted to have a chat. Talk about, my channel. Talk about just things in general, really. Things do change. Things do go away. Things come around. Always have the expectancy of enjoying things in the moment, because things change, tastes change, attitudes change. Even people's love of genres of video games change. Back in the 80s, platform games and scrolling shoot 'em ups were everyday fare, and largely was to do with dictated to by hardware constraints, but also by people's tastes. First person shooters, third person shooters, and then within that subsection, single player, then multiplayer, team deathmatch, horde mode, battle royale, you know, and then onto other things. These days, what do they call them? Escape. What's it? I don't know what the hell they call them. Stuff like Escape from, is it from Tarkov? That's become a thing now. That'll be it then. Something else will come along. Everyone will jump on board. Some will be lucky and be big. Some won't be so lucky and they'll fail. Some will throw a tremendous amount of resources and finances into doing this. So yeah, it's just how it is. And the thing is, just enjoy things. Just enjoy things in the moment right now. Have a passion and enjoy it. Enjoy your games. Enjoy your films. Enjoy these things. You know. Anyway, I think we'll call it there for today. I've been out and about. I was up very, very early this morning, so I've been out and about for hours. I'm a bit tired, and the weather's totally miserable. And yeah, I don't know what will happen. Hopefully I'll be around tomorrow. I mean, I'm not expecting anything dramatic to happen to me, but it's just whether or not what happens with my bloods. But if I am, I'll pop up another Walkie Talkie. See what we can chat about tomorrow. Keep playing your games and keep enjoying them, people. Keep playing your games and keep enjoying them. And yeah, I'll catch you all later. Bye for now.